Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls coming to you from the West Coast. Today I wanted to share with you how to make a bigger, sturdy box um, out of 12 by 12 sheets of paper. So if you don't have A3 paper, you can still make a good size box. This one is 9 by 9 by 3 inches deep, and I have that to hold an album. So this album I made in a different video, but I wanted a box for it, so it fits right in there. And then I did put some detail on the edge, but I'll show you how to make it, because a lot of times if you make a bigger box, it tends to be wobbly, or not sturdy. But as you can see, this is really sturdy. So let's get started. So this one, I need to make a box for my wedding album that I made. And again, I showed this in an earlier video, so you can go see if you want to know how to make that album. So I'm going to use white and silver paper. So we're going to start with 2 sheets of silver 12 by 12. We'll take our big scoreboard, and this is going to be the base, but I'm actually going to make 2 of them and make it into pieces. So this one, I need a box base, and I'm going to score at 3 inches deep, because this is going to be the bottom. Let me see if I can score sideways. So I'm going to score on 2 sides at 3 inches. Just 2 sides. Don't score it all the way around, because we need it 9 by 9 on the bottom. So now if you score here, now you can see if this is a 12 by 12, this is 3 inches, therefore that's 9. 3, that's 9. So that's the base of your box. Now that's only 2 sides, so we're going to do the second piece. Same thing, score at 3 on 2 sides. A little hard to score sideways. Okay. Now you're going to fold and burnish just like you would normally if you were making a box. But just those 2 sides. And we're going to do the same thing on this one. And you can use your bone folder if you want to burnish, but I'm just going to use my fingers. So now we're going to have to trim this corner out. And I like to take a snip off of both sides, just so that those corners fit in there nicely. Let's do the same on the other one. Now when we put these corners together, you can see, let's see if I can at least hold them. And then we're going to put the box together just like that. So that helps, except now we got 2 sides that are just, there's no tabs on them. So we need to create some tabs to hold those together. Okay, so we're going to take another piece of that paper, and I'm just going to cut some strips that are going to go to create that corner. So this is 3 inches high, so I need them just short of 3 inches high. And about 2 inches wide. That gives me an inch tab on each side. So I need 2 pieces that are just short of 3 because I don't want to go over the top. But you want it to cover the full height, but not over. And these, so I made them 1 inch wide, so I'm just going to score them at, 2 inches wide, so I'm just going to score at 1 inch on both of them. Now, if you were going to cover the insides of your box, then the sides of your box, then you don't necessarily have to use matching paper, but I'm not going to use, so I want to use matching paper. Okay. And we're going to attach these, 1 on each side, to create that tab, the gluing flap. Okay. So we can attach them both to the same piece, doesn't matter. But they're going to go on those sides. So let's do that. Now, I put these on the inside. If you put them on the outside, they're going to show from the outside of your box. Doesn't matter, whichever you want to do. And you just want to line them up on the top and down that seam. So that looks pretty good. And the same on this side. Maybe if I hold it this way, it's easier to see. On that top. And down the seam to create that gluing flap. Okay. And then we're going to put tape on our tabs here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and tape those together, corners together first, just because if I don't, it's going to stick to something that I don't want it to stick to. And then we're going to put glue on these tabs as well once we get this ready to go. So let's just put some that 2 layers of cardstock on the inside is going to give you a nice sturdy base. Okay. Now we're going to slide this one in. I'm going to get it all the way in there. That's why I put the tacky glue in there, to give me a little bit of time. And then we're going to line up those corners and press them down. There's one. And just have to hold it till that tacky glue sets. Give me a minute to hold that down. And then press your bottom in so that it gets all pressed down. Good. Once you get it all lined up, we're going to set it aside for a minute while we work on the rest of the box. And we're going to let that tacky glue set up. So I'm going to set that to one side. Okay, now we're going to start on the rest of the box. Now, to make it nice and sturdy, basically, let me get that other one out here. I don't know if you can see, but the silver that we just made is equivalent to the white on this. So then what I did is I did 2 lids, so box lids, and this was 3 inches, and I made 2 box lids that are each 1.5. And you put one on the bottom and then one sits over the top, and that way you get a really sturdy box, because you've got the 2 layers of the cardstock, of the silver cardstock here on the bottom, and then you've got another layer. So you've basically got 3 layers of cardstock, and it gives that box. Look how rigid that is. I mean, I'm twisting it, and it just doesn't twist. So, and in this one, I'm going to use some white for the top and essentially the bottom. So now I'm going to bring my scoreboard back in. Now again, it's 9 by 9 and then 1.5 inch sides. So that's exactly a 12 by 12 piece of paper. So this time we're going to score at 1.5 inches on all 4 sides, but on the box lid side. So on the left side. So let's go 1.5. And you do it on both sheets. So this uses 4 12 by 12 sheets of paper, but it gives you a really good size, sturdy box without having to have A3 cardstock or bigger cardstock. And a lot of times I tried making one just out of a single sheet of A3 cardstock, and even if you use the Centura Pearl, it's still, to me, it gets, you know, when you twist it, it gets wobbly. It's not a good, once you get over about 6 by 6, the boxes, I think, feel really wobbly. So I like to do them this way. And you can do them this way with smaller boxes as well. But, and then we're just going to fold and burnish just like normal. Okay, now on this one you can see I put a decorative edge on the top. Now you could do it on this piece too, but I decided I wasn't going to do that. And I'm trying to decide on this one if I'm going to do the bottom too. I think I'll just do the top just like that one. But you could do the bottom as well if you wanted. So since I'm only going to do the top, I'm going to go ahead and cut and glue this one. And again, just like you were making a normal box, and cut the tabs out, glue it up. Okay, got that one glued up. I'm going to set that one aside as well. Now we're going to work on the top piece. And again, we're going to fold and burnish these. Now, if you want to do a nice edgeable die on this, obviously it's a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, so you're going to have a Gemini Pro to have the 12-inch wide cutting surface. You don't have to put an edgeable edge on it if you don't want to. If you don't have a Pro, just leave it blank, or you can put something on the outside of the edge if you want, and it would look great. But I'm going to do an edgeable on there, and I'm also going to cut a pattern in a window into the front because I liked that look. So we're going to use our Baroque edgeables, and on the other one, on this one, you can see I did the edgeable all the way across. I don't have a 9-inch edgeable. That's actually about a 6-inch edgeable, and it went from here to here on the first cut, and then I just lined it up and I ran it right off the edge. So I did 1.5 cuts on each side since I don't have a 9-inch edgeable. This one, I'm just going to do 1 on each side. So we're going to position this in the middle. So if I use my glass mat to kind of center it up, so let's see, we'll go from 13 to 4 is 9. So I need this kind of right at the edge. And so 4.5, so 9.5 is my center. And we're just going to put it on, like, get it positioned and tape it on. And we're going to do that 4 times, 1 on each side. Now, if I had bought 2 of those dies, I could do 2 sides at once, but I can't because I didn't. And then I'm going to put a window in the middle. And again, I want that right in the center. And that looks pretty close, but the easiest way to do it is kind of use your ruler and say, okay, at the top, it's 1.5. This way it's just 1 over. And that's good there. And then make sure you hold it and check both the top and the bottom to make sure that it's straight. About there. Oh, shoot. It's got some tape on it, so it's sticky. It doesn't have to be exactly in the middle, but you want to kind of try and get it as close as possible. If it's off by a lot, it'll be noticeable. And then you want to do it both ways, up top and bottom. There. Top, bottom, and every side. And it's just a little bit of an iterative process. You just kind of keep going. And what I do is I get it where I think it's in the middle, tape it down, and again, you're going to cut this window out. So tape on the inside because that's your waist. And then you can run your ruler across it one more time before you cut, just because you don't want to cut if it's not correct. Good. And that looks pretty good. And then let me put this on my Pro plate and cut all 4 sides, and I'll be right back with you in a minute. Okay, now I've got that cut on all 4 edges, as you can see, and obviously it's not a 9-inch die, so it stops right there. So I'm going to have to trim from here out to those edges. So we're going to do that with my scissors. So what you want to do is just take your scissors, that flap out of the way, and you can see where it ends right here. The cutting line ends right there. Now you can do a curve. I'm going to kind of arc it a little bit so it's not 100% straight. And that'll just come right out of there. All right. All those pieces cut off. You can see your box starting to take shape. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but I actually, you're going to be more careful. Where is it? There it is. I actually cut one of them off by mistake. This one goes right there. I'm going to try and save it, see if I can make it work. I think I can, but we'll go from there. Okay, now we're going to do some decoration on it. So I got to cut the pretty piece in some silver. And I don't want it to be the same silver as the bottom of the box. So I don't want to use that. So I'm going to use some mirror card, and I need to cut 4 of those because there's going to be one on each side. And then I'm going to put some acetate on the inside of that and use the good heavyweight acetate, not just the heat resistant acetate. And then I'm going to put a panel on the inside and then do some paper piecing. So the panel I'm going to set in is going to be this rose pattern, and I used the outside die to cut the frame. And let's see, I'm trying to decide. Yeah, I'm going to cut that right into this silver mirror card. Okay, I've got everything cut. So I've got my frame, I've got my piece of heavyweight acetate. I've got 4 of my little border pieces, and we're going to decorate our top before we put it together, because while it's flat, it's easier to decorate. And then you'll see this when I flip it over, but I cut another one of these, but in a matte mirror card that I'm going to use to paper piece. But I very carefully got it out upside down so I didn't lose any of the pieces. And I'm going to set that to one side while I work on these pieces. So first things first, we're going to put our acetate in. Now this is the heavyweight acetate, so it's got that film on it. So remember to peel that off. And we're going to set that in right over the top. Okay, so we'll just put some. Now, unfortunately, this heavyweight acetate is just barely big enough to cover this hole. So you're going to have to kind of line it up carefully so that it actually does fit. Now, if you don't like the looks of that on the inside, you can cut a square of paper, and I think I am going to do that. That's just 8 and, just shy of that, and then cut the hole in the middle, and it'll cover up that. And I think I am going to do that, actually. This just gives you a nice finished look on the inside. You don't have to do it, but I like to do it because it does give you a nice polished look on the inside, and it also gives you a little more rigidity in the lid. And before you put any glue on it, make sure it's going to fit. Set that on there and wiggle it around. Wiggle it into place. And this frame's going to sit on the outside of it, so it doesn't matter if it's exactly perfect, but it does give you, see, when you fold that up, it's going to give you a nice finished edge on the inside. And it does give you some strength on the lid. So before we do anything else, we're going to flip it over and put our decorations on. So we're going to start with our frame. It's going to go right there in the middle. And you can use your dotty tape pen or some tacky glue. And this is just going to sit right inside there. And since I used the same die to cut the aperture that I used to cut out the panel, it fits perfect. Now I'm going to put my little silver pieces on my decorative edges the same way. And to do these, I'll show you a little, I don't know if it's a trick, but as long as you don't mind the glue on your skin, just make sure it's kind of smeared out so it's not goopy. You don't want a lot, especially on mirror card, because it'll show. And then you can just set sure I know which way they're going. Okay, and then just set the pieces on top, and it coats the back with glue. It's a lot easier for me than doing the little fine tip applicator everywhere. And then, sorry, I'm kind of right in the way, aren't I? And you just want to line those up. Boy, these are really pretty dies. Press them into place. Let me do the next one. Okay, that's that. And now I'm going to do the paper piecing. And again, I want to do the paper piecing before I create the box lid. So I've cut this in some matte mirror, and you can see that some of the pieces are starting to fall out, and I've been trying to kind of keep them in. So I care mostly about the flowers because that's all I'm going to paper piece. So we're going to flip this over like that. And then what I do is I poke out the pieces that I want while trying to hold the die still so that they stay. If you have hold and release sheets, that works great, but I don't have any right now. And some of these other pieces fell out. but that's from this flower. And that's from that one. I don't think I need that one. But until I know, I don't actually throw any away. There. I'm all paper pieced in. I only got a little bit of glue smeared on there. If you do get the tacky glue smeared on the mirror card, you can kind of scrape it off with your fingernail. Now we're going to put our lid together. So you're going to just burnish those, and then we're going to fold these in and put them together. So put some tape on each of those tabs. And I'm going to put a little bit of tacky glue on as well, just for strength. And that tacky glue on the inside there is going to dry clear so it doesn't show. And then that's your lid. Now let me show you how to put the whole box together. So you've got this is a lid, 9 by 9 by 1.5, a box top. You've got your box base, which was your 2 bases that I made earlier, and that base is just going to slide right into the top. Now you're going to put your box base right inside your box lid. But before I do that, I'm going to throw some glue in there. I use some Collal glue because it gives me a little bit of wiggle time. And then we're going to glue these sides. And you can just use your tacky glue to glue the sides. And the easiest way to do it is just kind of run a bead of glue. I don't know if you can see that, but just kind of along that edge. Like that. And then press it down and hold. And you're going to do that on all 4 sides. There we go. And then we're going to put our album right in there. Fits perfectly. And then our top goes on. And you want to be careful when you put the lid on because you got those curly cues and you don't want to snag them. And there we go. A nice beautiful box. And it looks really pretty on the outside, on the edges. It's really sturdy. I mean, that's not going to shift around at all. 9 by 9 by 3, made out of 4 sheets of 12 by 12 paper with a nice edgeable. If you didn't do the sides and you just wanted to cut into the middle, you could probably do that by folding in the sides and run it through your OG Gemini, but you wouldn't be able to do the edges. But other than that, you could do the rest of it. And there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. Have a nice day.